The following is a presentation of TFNN. The Morning Market Kickoff with your host, Tommy O'Brien. Now, Tommy O'Brien.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Tommy O'Brien, coming to you live from TFNN Monday morning, just after 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Hope everyone had a great weekend. Thanks for starting the Monday off with me. We got about 24 minutes to go until the start of trading. You got a SpaceX rocket that's going to be going off in about 14 minutes. Pretty cool. Don't mind telling you that, even though I'll be doing a program, because you don't get that very often, man. That rocket, if you heard about it, folks, it is a mammoth, and Elon was out there talking about this weekend. He hopes it just doesn't destroy the launching pad. Quite a launch that they got going on. Elon in the news again. Nonetheless, we got the markets picking things up basically where we ended off on Friday. We'll back things up on a 15-minute. Let's take some Fibonacci numbers off here for some clarity. And as you can see, we come into the day on Friday, and boy, and if you were in the den as well, folks, they were charging this market higher even after 4 o'clock, right? Let's put it on a 5-minute just to see how we close the action on Friday. Of course, you get a spike to 41.89. You trade down a solid 50 points in the S&Ps, and then you got back 35 by the end of the session. But just zooming in on the end of the day, 4 o'clock, we came in at about 41.62, and you made it all the way up to 41.75. Just interesting action, not necessarily indicative of anything, but nonetheless, we are back to where we were on Friday. Dow up by 25 points this morning, 34,063. We get the Russell up by 5, NASDAQ 100 barely in the red. Crude contract, slightly off of the highs we had last week. We're sitting right at $82 on the dot as we speak in the price of crude right now. You jump over to the gold contract, quite a week for gold yesterday in both directions, up to 2063, down to 2010, and we're basically where we were on Friday, negative by $2 right now in the gold contract. You jump to notes and bonds, we got some lower price and higher yield coming at you, man. 10-year. Off 12 ticks, just like that. We get the 30-year off 18 ticks, just like that. And you got to jump over to the dollar index. There's some action for you. We're getting dollar strength, 101.85 right now. We were just at 101.60. And that, folks, that's a perfect segue because we got our man Teddy Kegstad. Don't normally kick it off, but why not? He's doing a webinar on Wednesday, folks. We talk to him every Wednesday during the program. I'm sure we'll talk to him on Wednesday morning as well. Please check it out. Forex, just the dollar alone, yields alone. It's going to be a great webinar, folks. If you haven't checked out the Tiger Forex report, you can go over. You can sign up. He's got a new issue out this morning, okay? So you get the newsletter for a month. You gain access to the webinar. You get the webinar in archive. He's got a previous webinar he's done in there for subscribers you'll be able to gain access to. And you get a 30-day money-back guarantee, man. You cannot go wrong. Please check it out. That'll be Wednesday. And you don't necessarily have to trade Forex, folks, to get a wealth of knowledge in that newsletter, whether you're talking about the dollar index, crude, notes, bonds, of course. Pretty interesting action. Dollar index catching a bid today. Be interesting to see how that plays out into the market with the markets basically flat coming into the open. We check out the VIX this morning. We almost got to a 16 handle. 16 handle last week. Absolutely remarkable. I said to my on the beginning of my program, yeah, there was 9 o'clock. I said 17.19. I said, could we get a 16 handle today? We almost got it by the end of the day, man. We're back to 1771. Now, keep your eye on that one, man, because sometimes when you get an elevated VIX like that and you got the market flat, there's some fear in this market. People are paying for some premium right now, and sometimes indicative of potential bearish action in the market once we get going here in about 20 minutes from now. All right, what do we got going on in this market? Where are we going to start off? Let's see. I got a couple AI articles. Which one did I have pulled up here? Now, let's start with this one. 60 Minutes last night. Happened to just stumble upon it. I love the program. Don't always have the time on Sunday night with the kids running around, but I checked it out last night, and it was a good one. They were talking about AI. Kind of seemed a little bit like a Google commercial, to be honest. I'm pretty sure that this probably got concocted in some fashion when ChatGPT got rolled out, and Google said, we need some PR here. So they basically did an in-depth look at Google, Bard, AI, DeepMind, but very fascinating in terms of what they're looking at. We've been talking about this. And it was very fascinating just to see them. They went through BARD, they went through robotics, they went through AI in general, they went through DeepMind, I think it's called, right? Is that there? They probably have it in here as well. But worth checking out if you watched it last night. And this is, there were many parts of this that were just interesting, and it made me say, you know what, Google's not going to get blown out of the water here. That's what I was left thinking. And yeah, it was a little bit of a PR piece, so take it for what it's worth. That was my perception, man. At 60 Minutes is not usually PR pieces. But there was no mention of ChatGPT. There was, right? But this was about Google and their products. And so I kind of found it where they could have done the story on the whole deal. Nonetheless, for example, these are just examples they were going through. You're a radiologist, right? 5 to 10 years from now, and this is what Pichai is saying, the CEO of Google. You're going to have an AI collaborator with you. You come into the morning, and you have 100 things to go through, and let's say you have 100 to go through. It's going to say these are the most serious cases for you to look at first. It's going to be an assistant for everybody across the board. Right? Thank you, Duffy. Awesome. It's right there in the den. Check out the den, folks. Perfect. A nice little link. You can check it out. 60 Minutes is outstanding program, folks. But as they say, yeah, DeepMind, where robotics were playing soccer, which they learned themselves. They basically just give them a goal, which is score the ball in the net. And at first you have all the robots just start going after the ball. But then what do they use? They use game theory, and they just start learning, right? It's fascinating, and it did leave me with thinking, saying, you know what? And you know what else was amazing in here, too? The raw computing power, when you just see the warehouses that they have. So DeepMind was started in, I think, 2010. Forget the guy's name, but they interviewed that CEO, which is, I think, 1,000 people within Google. And he sold the company to Google in 2014. And the reason why, he said, is we needed their computing power. We needed the brains. We needed all those microchips that they had. And when you see them, folks, they're not going to get blown out of the water, man. Microsoft, I'm sure, has them too, okay? So they're going to be some vast competitors. But it was very interesting. It's worth checking out. And it made me think of, all the talk about Google getting blown out of the water. They are going to be around. But I don't know if they're going to be around at 90% of search, which is what they're around. What's going on with Google this morning? Did they not like it last night? What's the news on Google? Let's see. Samsung could replace Google with Bing as the default search for its services. Well, that's quite a headline to drop on it as well. Yeah. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out, folks. But please check out that 60-minute story if you're thinking about the Google versus Microsoft versus Bard versus ChatGPT saga. Because they are going to be a player in the raw computing, man. It's scary in one essence to see the raw computing power. And I don't know how startups are ever going to compete again with something like that to that degree, to a certain degree, right? It's like when computers are running everything and AI is running everything, and when you need the computing power to even compete with the AI that's driving everything, how do you compete? That's going to be the next big conversation that takes place. But nonetheless, yeah, you bet that might have been a PR piece. They know they're facing a battle, man. Google down this morning on the news that Samsung might be using Bing, and Microsoft up to 291. Stay tuned, folks. We've got a lot to talk about. SB's negative by 1 this morning. We'll be right back. If you're looking for potential trading setups in the stock market, then Rocket Equities and Options Report is a newsletter you should try. Tommy O'Brien delivers options and equity trades when the markets present them, using a combination of fundamentals and technicals. Sign up for Rocket Equities and Options Report today with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to risk. For all the details and to start your subscription today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
Everything in the universe is governed by the Fibonacci sequence. This mathematical principle is responsible for everything from the most aesthetically pleasing artwork to patterns in the stock market. To stay on top of stock patterns you can take advantage of, sign up for the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter at TFNN.com. When you subscribe, you'll get a weekly report from veteran day trader Larry Pesavento on stocks you need to pay attention to. And you can trust Larry's analysis. After all, he's got 45 years years' experience as a day trader. Larry will also provide daily charts, videos, and data on the key markets that he's tracking. Expect notifications from Larry on market movement you need to act on at any time. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. Subscribe to the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter today. TFNN.com, educating investors.
Steve Rhodes started his trading career as a student almost 20 years ago, and the student has now become the master. Steve won the prestigious Timer of the Year award in 2018 and barely missed that mark again in 2019, finishing at number 2 for the year. An amazing accomplishment. Steve Rhodes is committed to sharing his techniques and knowledge with anyone who wants to learn, and he shares his vast amount of trading knowledge every day in his Mastering Probability newsletter. Steve's award-winning newsletter, Mastering Probability, is delivered every trading day with updates throughout the afternoon. Sign up for Steve's market newsletter, Mastering Probability, and you'll receive access to 7 of Steve's educational webinars absolutely free. At TFNN, all our newsletters come with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Visit TFNN.com and try Mastering Probability 30 days risk-free today. TFNN, educating investors.
TFNN has launched the Tiger's Den. Hosted at Discord, TFNN has been educating traders for more than 20 years with live programming hosted by a variety of professional traders during market hours. The Tiger's Den, available to all tigers and tigresses for just $1 for the year. There's no catch or added costs when you join our community of traders. Sign up today and become a part of this educational community of traders. Just visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Welcome back, folks. So we got the S&Ps down about 2 points right now. Going to be an interesting week, man. That was quite the week to the upside last week. You got some sell-offs, man, but every time you got a sell-off, I mean, look at the runs we had from Wednesday to Thursday on the PPI numbers, 41.20 to 41.70 to 41.89. We closed out the week at relative highs of about 41.70. And yeah, so it's going to be interesting. Just finishing up that conversation, thinking a little big picture, right? So Google, you have to think. And I guess it comes out to the New York Times. I'll try and find the article. Let's see. I'm sure it's probably going to be somewhere on the top of their front page as I pull it up. The New York Times is reporting that Samsung is thinking about using Bing. Let's see if I can find it. Okay, I'll pull it up. It's not popping up for me just yet. I don't know if, I'm an iPhone user. I know iPhone does the same thing, right? That they use Google for their searches. And that's one of the things that Google takes a lot of heat for, saying monopolistic, because they basically pay for the rights to be the monopoly and just cover the board, right? They pay Apple, they pay iPhone, Samsung to be in there, and then they got all the revenue that comes with that for people searching there and then the ads that show up. So the report, citing internal messages, it happened in March, said Alphabet learned about the discussions in March and that about $3 billion in annual revenue is at stake. I know that I still prefer Google, right? If I was on the iPhone and they told me I was going to Bing, I'm going to start using Bing. But when I want to search for something the way I'm used to searching for something, I probably want to search for it on Google. So it's going to be interesting to see that Samsung is going to make that move. And if I was on Samsung, I'd say, I'm not sure I'm so comfortable yet going to Bing, even though they're going to make some headways with AI. And you're going to see that play out for a long time, man. Yeah. All right, let's jump to some of the others. We got some earnings, of course. You got a lot of the regional banks coming out this week. Schwab, so they were higher, man. Schwab's gotten a lot of attention recently. They beat 93 cents versus 90, revenue of $5.12 billion in line with estimates. And yeah, since Silicon Valley Bank, Schwab, they do have some hold-to-maturity securities on their balance sheet, and they defended their financial position, noting its loan-to-deposit ratio is low. I think they're going to stop buybacks, though, as well, to make sure that they stay as secure as they can. Nonetheless, you're down about $1. You were up to $52.50 for Schwab in the early hours for their numbers. Let's see what else we got going. Let's see, we got State Street, I believe, out already. All right, this is where things are going to get real, man. Last Friday, the big ones delivered it. So let's see. $1.52 a share on $3.1 billion. The market was looking for $1.64. I bet there's more in there than that when the stop drops 12-13%. Watch out, man. All right, we'll break into that more. Yeah, if this is how all the regional banks are going to go, and they might, then watch out. All right, let's see what else we got pulled up here. And that space shuttle launch did get delayed too, unfortunately, folks. There's some type of pressurization issue. They're going to consider it a wet run rehearsal, something like that, and they'll do it again. But nonetheless, from what they were talking about, it was for him to say that he literally just wanted it to clear the launch pad, because if it destroyed the launch pad, it was going to take 2 to 3 months just to build where they launched it, right? They weren't planning on bringing that back to... They weren't going to bring it back to Earth this time. So they weren't going to save any of the rocket, any of the vehicle that they pushed up there, okay, the launch. So that was already gone. So they really just wanted to make sure no matter what happened, they didn't destroy the launch pad of all things. But nonetheless, they push it back for some issues. Yeah, and we'll see where that goes from there. Now, this one's interesting in terms of the debt limit. Tax day cash will indicate just how close the U.S. is to default. So tax day, I believe, is tomorrow, right? 18th? I believe for some reason it's fallen on the 18th. Maybe it's because it's Patriots Day or something. I don't know. Why does that fall on the 18th? Nonetheless, the question of when the U.S. could default will come into sharp relief this week when the Treasury reveals how big its tax take is likely to be. And so that's going to heat up at some time in the next 6 months, man. It's going to be remarkable. It's going to heat up literally about a year out from a presidential election. And politics are just going to be driving everything, which is usually a pretty unfortunate event, no matter where you fall on the spectrum. How about oil? We mentioned under $82. It was actually at $82 right when I started the day. 4-week gains on demand headwinds and the dollar. Yeah, what's going to happen with this market with the dollar charging higher, man? It's still going, man. We're almost at 102. We're at 170. It was quite a slide last week. Still pushing those lower boundaries, though, man. And let's check out the notes and bond market. Yeah, that's quite a pullback. Let's check out the yields in terms of where we are right now. Just 1 second while I pull it up. Okay. We got let's check this out. In terms of where we are, 3.56 on the 10-year. What do we do in the 2-year? 2-year, 4.15. Look at this. I mean, the 2-year's up almost 6 basis points. The 10-year's up almost 5 basis points as we start the week. Some big action to start things off, man. It's going to be really interesting to see how the dynamic changes between a higher yield because we have a good economy, which the market loves, or a higher yield because the Fed might not be cutting in the way everybody thinks, and yields deserve a little bit higher yield than what they're at right now. Okay. Let's jump through some of the other articles I had pulled up as we got about 6 minutes to go until the opening bell. How about Netflix? So they kicked off their live foray with the Chris Rock special, which was an outstanding hit. And their second attempt was, I guess, a reunion of some sorts for one of their reality shows, Love is Blind. And this is a pretty standard run-of-the-mill these days reality show trying to pair couples. And then this one, I think they keep it so you can't even see each other, right? Love is Blind, you're just talking to the person, whatever it is. But this was a reunion, and it was a big mess. So it was supposed to start at 8 o'clock. It was supposed to be live. They tweeted Love is late. That was Netflix. Said it would be about 15 minutes. Now, it took about an hour. Nobody could get on. And, yeah, it was a big problem. So I imagine that's a big problem of what's going on over there. We jump over to Netflix shares this morning. a little bit of a give back, nothing too dramatic. Market not too freaked out about it. One event isn't going to matter. It was interesting that I did see, maybe I was just on Netflix yesterday, or maybe I saw it somewhere on social media, that I did saw this promoted, and it's pretty interesting. They nail the first one, but they can't nail the second one. Who was in charge of the first one? Who was in charge of the second one? What happened? Nonetheless, they'll look into it, but they nailed the first one, so I imagine they'll get it done. But yeah, they couldn't get it done there as they blew that one, and everybody... It's got to be frustrating when you look forward to that. And I know some of those reality shows, man, people are big fans of it. And when they're holding a live event, which Netflix rarely does, you could see how that play into it even more. All right, and then back to ChatGPT. So we talked about Bard and Google. This one's interesting. We'll talk a little bit more about this. Saw an article about this last week, talking about using it to just talk about finance, right? So we'll talk a little bit about ChatGPT. No matter what the deal is, folks, the time is now. The time is now for all this stuff, because before you know it, everyone's going to have it. And then you don't have an advantage. We'll be back for the open.
Building wealth trading in the stock market seems impossible to most people. They think it's too volatile and risky. Most people aren't going to take the time to educate themselves on how to do it right. But you're not most people, are you? At TFNN, you'll get the guidance you need to refine your strategies and techniques to invest like a pro. Because you'll be a pro. All TFNN subscriptions, books, software, and courses are available at TFNN.com. And I'm even going to tell you how to get them for less. Use TFNN's Tiger Dollars and you'll get up to a 20% bonus on your purchase. And once you apply them to your account, Tiger Dollars are automatically used for all future or recurring charges. Tiger Dollars also never expire, are fully transferable, and are a great way to add savings to your newsletters or services. Become the investor you were born to be at TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
TFNN has just launched their new trading room, the Tiger's Den. Hosted at Discord, TFNN has been educating traders for more than 20 years with live programming hosted by a variety of professional traders during market hours. And now they are expanding their reach with the Tiger's Den, available to all tigers and tigresses for just $1 for the year. There's no catch or added costs when you join our community of traders. In the Tiger's Den, you can look over the shoulders of Tom O'Brien and the other TFNN hosts while they analyze charts during their live Tiger TV programs, and join an interactive trading community with hundreds of members exchanging ideas. Interact with other tigers and tigresses as they share trading ideas, news analysis, and discuss the market action all trading day, even at night and on the weekends. The Tiger's Den at Discord is accessible on mobile or tablets as well, so it's always at your reach. To sign up today and become a part of this educational community of traders, just visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Sharpening your skills as an investor is like getting better at playing a musical instrument. You have to practice, sure, but you also need excellent instruction from experts. At TFNN, you'll get advice and guidance from the authority in technical market analysis. And it's not just dry, tedious text either. TFNN airs live financial content streamed live on TFNN.com and TFNN's YouTube channel with Tiger TV, live every market day from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern. For free. Each host is an experienced trader and gives their take on the market while taking calls and questions live from around the world. From the moment the market opens until the closing bell sounds, Tiger TV has 8 different shows with expert hosts to help you make the right moves with your money. Watch online at TFNN.com or on TFNN's YouTube channel and become the investor you were born to be. TFNN, educating investors.
This segment is brought to you by Thinkorswim. For more information, just click the Thinkorswim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Welcome back, folks. We got markets open. You got an S&P negative by about 3 points. Now, we've given up about 15 points from where we were overnight. About 3 a.m. this morning, you're up at about 41.76. We're trading right now 41.60. Dow up 30 points right now, just above 34,000. We get the Russell up by 5 this morning. Jumping around to some of the other stories I had pulled up here. This one's going to be interesting. Let's jump back to see how some of the tech stocks are opening up, actually. You got Apple. Well, they're lower. Look at that. Yeah, Apple. That's quite a little drop-off, man. Apple trading down right now by about 43 pennies. Microsoft up by 1.4%. Google shares down by 3.5% on that news with Samsung maybe choosing Bing over Google. But I bring up Apple in particular. We jumped to General Motors this morning. So this story, where's that in the journal? Yeah. So GM is ditching Apple CarPlay on their EVs as fight for your car's screen intensifies. Now, I have an iPhone, folks. I love it. I use CarPlay all the time in my car. It's not a GM vehicle. I have a BMW, but I use it all the time. And it's interesting how this is going to play out in a similar fashion that you see in Samsung, right? Say, you know what? We're the gatekeeper, and we're going to change who we're searching through, right? We're going to change what the display that you're using, where it actually goes. I'm very used to plugging my phone in. All my apps pop up in a pretty similar fashion to my phone. I know what I can use. I have Waze that I use for directions in there. I have my messages that are in there, etc. Now, they're going to try to incorporate that, I'm sure. But the reason why these car companies started using CarPlay, and there's something similar for Android, is because they couldn't quite deliver the user experience that users wanted. And so they say, you know what, we're just going to let Apple plug in. We're just going to let Android plug in. But the move to drop the popular app highlights a battle that could be worth billions. Now, one of the things they talk about here is that, first of all, Tesla does not. Tesla does not have CarPlay, and they don't have, what's the other one called that they talk about in here? A similar one made by Alphabet. I mean, look how, I forget what it's called, but isn't it great that they say they're dropping CarPlay, and nobody even knows what Alphabet's is called? Well, they don't even say the name. They say, along with a similar one made by Alphabet's Google for Android phones. They have to explain it away. Apple's just got it going on, man. The fact that they don't even say a similar name. I don't even know what it is. And I think they even say it in this article, and I read it. Either way. Tesla does not have either of those in their vehicles. And one of the reasons is because they control the interface, and they allow users, to buy upgrades. It's basically a screen that they use to interact with those users in a way that they allow them to potentially purchase additional upgrades, et cetera, for the vehicles. And that's where this is probably really going to begin to play out. So for the new software that they are designing for their EV vehicles, it's going to be customized with GM's own branded look and features. The software is going to be able to collect data on the vehicle elector's charge and tire pressure and make suggestions such as the best location to stop and plug in. It could also add a suggested route to Google Maps for drivers who want to use the hands-free Super Cruise assisted driving system, which is activated only on designated roadways. So these car companies are going to have to turn into technology companies when you think about the way that they're going to interact with consumers in the front seat, driver seat of their vehicle. Easier said than done, which is the reason why. So it's Android Auto. There it was. I knew it was somewhere in there. And they're so-called projection or mirroring systems. They mirror the systems that are, generational operating systems for our mobile devices. More than 90% of new vehicles have CarPlay and Android Auto that were made last year. More than 90%. They're basically in every vehicle, which is astounding when you think about that. And GM, this is probably their foray into saying all the vehicles in the future, we're not going to have it because we need to be able to sell you extra things. Here you go. GM has said its ability to beam new features to the car, adding hands-free lane change capability as part of assisted driving system Super Cruise, for example, could generate 20 to 25 billion in revenue annually by 2030, up from 2 billion in 2021. Amazing. What I wonder when I see this, and it probably won't matter because this is how things are going to change, but it feels like they're going to have features on the vehicles that could add safety, and they're only going to give you them if you pay for them. That might turn into a problem because to have features, and that's a luxury feature, probably the one we were just talking about, assisted driving system for Super Cruise, etc. But it just doesn't quite feel right that your car is going to be able to do some stuff that might make it a little bit safer potentially, and they're not going to let you use it, even though it really doesn't cost them anything extra. Now, that's a debatable case from their point for sure, because they have to design it, right? And they have to sell it. So, of course, it costs them some money, and they don't get anybody money back if nobody buys it. But all these bells and whistles, if they are in any ways like a safety feature, I remember when this is happening for the 737 MAX, and we started learning about the reason why many planes didn't have certain things installed was because they were literally add-ons that you had to pay extra for, and they just didn't pay extra for them. That's when they actually had to put it in the plane. And I was still like, what the heck, man? They're selling features that make the plane safer for extra money, and they're allowing companies not to buy that extra feature, and then it turns out that extra feature would have saved hundreds of lives. Well, this one, it's not even going to cost them extra money. They just have to flip a button and turn it on. But guess what? Annual revenue, $20 to $25 billion in the next 7 years, up from $2 billion last 2 years ago. Yeah. Mercedes recently said it wants to emphasize the company's own built-in software offerings in its car screens. We want to control the interface with our customers instead of outsourcing it to someone else. It makes sense, so it's coming. And the fact that Elon was ahead of the curve, not surprising there as well. And yeah, we'll see where it goes from there. GM down about 0.1% right now. Let's see how Tesla's trading this morning. Tesla up about 1.1% right now. Let's see how some of those FANG stocks are trading. Amazon shares up by 1%. There you go. NASDAQ 100 up by 18 points right now. Let's see how the big banks are trading from last week's acceleration. JP Morgan basically flat. We got Bank of America earnings, I believe, tomorrow. They traded higher Friday on the other banks' numbers. Yeah, look at State Street down 17%, man. Let's see how Schwab's doing. Only down 2.6%. They had some decent numbers too, State Street. There must be something tough in there, man. Watch out for these regional banks, folks, and they're coming all week, man. The market holding up relatively well. See how Netflix is trading on their news. Down about 0.5% right now. Some of the other favorites I like to look at, Disney shares basically flat this morning for Disney. Some of the ride-hailing stocks. There you go. Uber catches a bit, up 1.6%. Tell you, folks, I ordered Uber for the first time in a while. Uber Eats actually this weekend. Didn't really go well. Wasn't a fan. I ordered 2 smoothies. They showed up, didn't have straws in them. I ended up like getting sick with food poisoning this weekend, but I don't think that it could have been it. I don't know. I don't know what it was. Not a good experience, and I haven't ordered it in a while. And then I ordered Instacart for the first time in a while as well, when I wasn't feeling well. And yeah, these companies, when it comes to that, Uber and Lyft, Uber especially, man, they changed the world in terms of driving, taxis, etc. Uber Eats changed the world as well, but it's expensive, man. In the days of inflation, saving money, not a fan of those. I just find myself feeling like I'm just wasting, burning money. Stay tuned, folks. Market's up by 4. We got a lot to talk about. Right back.
You might think that if you want to be successful at trading in the stock market, you're going to need a crystal ball. After all, it's impossible to predict the future, right? Like any endeavor in life, before you decide it's impossible, get some advice from the experts. You might find that it's not so impossible after all. For daily market overviews that give you direction on the key indices, selective stocks, and commodities, subscribe to the Opening Call newsletter at TFNN.com. The Opening Call newsletter is written by Basil Chapman, creator of the trading methodology known as the Chapman Wave. The Chapman Wave up-down sequence gives you an edge in identifying price turns, finding the peaks and valleys in stock prices. Get the Opening Call newsletter by Basil Chapman in your inbox every day. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know, and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. TFNN.com, educating investors.
Are you looking for a way to consistently add winning trades to your portfolio? Tom O'Brien is here to help. Tom O'Brien has been successfully trading markets for over 30 years. A frequent contributor to TD Ameritrade Network and CNBC, Tom O'Brien founded TFNN over 20 years ago to help educate investors just like you. Tom's daily market newsletter, Market Insights, is published every morning when the market's open to give you the competitive informational edge you need to succeed. These newsletters are packed full of Tom's advanced technical analysis and are geared to deliver comprehensive strategies for a successful portfolio. Get Tom O'Brien's newsletter, Market Insights, today. And try all of our products and newsletters 30 days risk-free with our money-back guarantee at TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
Will the S&P 500 continue to climb? For bold trades on U.S. large cap stocks in either direction, trade SPXL, SPUU, or SPXS. Directions Daily S&P 500 Bull and Bear Leveraged ETFs. Direction Leveraged ETFs. An investor should carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risks, charges, and expenses before investing. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a fund's prospectus and summary prospectus, call 866-476-7523 or visit directioninvestments.com. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the fund is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
This program is brought to you by Vista Gold, traded on the NYSE American and TSX under the symbol VGZ.
Welcome back, folks. We got the S&P up by 5 points right now. We get a little bit on the open, go from about 4160, pushing almost 4170 right now. NASDAQ up by, NASDAQ 100 that is, up by 10, make it 7, and the Dow up by 52, Russell up by 8. So the two big equities with the earnings this morning are Schwab, down about 2.1% right now, and State Street, down 16% right now. Jumping to some of the other companies that are out this week. Tomorrow we get Goldman Sachs with their numbers. They're trading a little bit lower, down about 0.5% right now. We also get Bank of America. They're down about 0.2% right now. They pull back from the open. I think we get BlackRock too. Let's see. Bank of New York Mellon, excuse me. Yeah. When's BlackRock? No, Blackstone. Okay, we'll go slow here. Yes, Bank of New York Mellon. They're out with their numbers. Look at these banks. So this is going to be already whatever just happened in State Street. Bank of New York Mellon's out with their numbers tomorrow. They're down about 8% right now. Morgan Stanley's going to be out with their numbers on Wednesday. They're basically flat. We have Tesla with their numbers on Wednesday as well. Yeah, the two non-bank stocks that are really going to get some attention is you have Netflix out with their numbers tomorrow, trading lower on their gaffe last night a bit with Love is Blind the Live, and ahead of their numbers tomorrow. Let's see what type of move we have going on for Netflix right now. There's a move for you, man. $28. Let's take a look. Yeah, you're about a $30 move in either direction right now, priced into Netflix earnings for their numbers. Let's see how we're doing with Tesla in the same deal. Yeah, Tesla, you're looking at almost a $16 move on their numbers. So in both cases, just under a 10% move. You get some volatility. So Netflix tomorrow, Tesla on Wednesday. We also get IBM on Wednesday. We get AT&T on Thursday, American Express on Thursday. Yeah, Taiwan Semiconductor, I think, is on Thursday as well. So it's going to be a steady flow of numbers coming throughout the day. All right, and what else do we have going on? We had a rocket ship launch, but we also got the Boston Marathon going on today, man. And the greatest marathoner ever, Kipchoge, he's going to be in the Boston Marathon for the first time ever. Be interesting to see how he does. He's the Olympic champion. He's the world record holder. This guy ran a marathon in under 2 hours, and I forget what the mile per an hour is for that, but it is bonkers, folks. 26. I mean, you're running basically at 13 miles an hour for 2 straight hours, which is astounding. But Boston's a little different. I was reading about it this weekend, especially, I mean, I'm not a marathoner, man. I love the Boston Marathon. But this guy, Kipchoge, I remember the first time when he ran the 2-hour marathon. And the way he ran the 2-hour marathon, okay, is he ran it in a loop. It was not an official marathon time. He ran it in a loop. He had pacers that were with him. He had people in front of him shielding the wind. But nonetheless, man, he ran 26.2 miles in under 2 hours. Now, to be an official marathon record, there's some degree where you need to begin and end the marathon within the same amount of distance. And that's specifically to prevent some courses being all downhill or all whatever, right? That you have to run out and run back so that no matter what terrain you face going out, you're facing the opposite terrain coming back. Well, the Boston Marathon is basically one big line from Hopkinton all the way out in the Western Mass to Boston. So it doesn't technically qualify as a world record if he would break it. But nonetheless, it's going to be pretty cool. Always a big day in Boston. One of the days I always wish I was there. And then what do you have? Then you have a Red Sox game with Ohtani in there, right? Is that how you say his name? The pitcher. And then you got a Bruins playoff game as well. Always a big day in Boston, man. Nothing like it. I hope everyone's enjoying their Patriots Day out there, enjoying the marathon. And Kipchoge, if you haven't heard about him, man, keep your eye on him. Because this guy, he's already writing history because, boy, if I know about a marathoner, man, then that means he's really making waves, to say the least. Yeah. And we get the market giving it up a little bit. The day is young, as our man Basil Chapman would say, trading at about 41.62. So we come into all the earnings I referenced, and there's some important ones, right? We get a couple tech stocks. We get a lot of the regional banks. We get AT&T. We get Procter & Gamble in there, Taiwan Semiconductor, Johnson & Johnson, Lockheed Martin, United Airlines. Boy, there's a lot. IBM, Las Vegas Sands, Alcoa. Just going through the list. I keep going. That's just this week alone. And then the big week is the week after that. So this is like the precursor to the main event in terms of where we go from there. Apple shares continuing to give it up. We just gave up $1.50 from where we were on the open. That's $24 billion in market cap, just like that, folks. Oh, look at that. Microsoft. Yeah, the market says not so quick. There's $4 give up from where it was. Microsoft's barely positive by 1%. Think about that. I mean, that's astounding because 2 months ago, 3 months ago, if I told you that Samsung was thinking of ditching Google as their search function for Bing, you'd say, why the heck are they doing that? Man, that's going to be a godsend for Microsoft. And the market's like, we're up 1%. They have a long way to go in terms of replacing them. And Google, yeah, that's a different one, though. Down about 3.3%. This thing's been on a run, though, as well. Amazon holding well, up about 0.4%. We jump over to IBM ahead of their earnings this week. Up 0.2. Alcoa up about 1%, 0.1%, excuse me. Let's check out the gold contract. Yeah, we got dollar strength, man. That's going to weigh on this market right now. Look at this. We're above 102. Yeah. It's a great time for Teddy Cake Stats webinar on Wednesday, folks. Check it out. I talked about it in the beginning of the program. You can sign up for the Tiger Forex report. You get the webinar on Wednesday. It's only $97, and he's got a new issue today. Comes out with a new issue every single week. Check it out on the front page, TFNN. Because the dollar and yields and how that ties in just so important in this market right now. You see the dollar at 102. Now, what's interesting here is the dollar is right where it was at the beginning of Wednesday. Yeah, we're pretty close. I mean, you're right to that first spike of where we were on Wednesday, 41.63 right now in the markets. Let's check out yields. Yeah, just sputtering around at about 114.18 right now. Let's see how some of the other currencies are trading right now. Because this is what's also been cool is what Teddy's been talking about is that, you know, he just doesn't look at the dollar index. He breaks it down within them. So you got the euro US dollar right now from about 110.70 on Friday to 109.30, down a 1.5, tick and a half, I guess you could say. Let's check out the US dollar yen. Yeah, climbing. Yeah, maybe that's on a run to 138. The last spot we were in March 8th. We're sitting at 134.34 right now in the yen. Let's check out crude. Crude yeah. We're in an important area in crude, man. $82 has been an area. Whether you back it up to the high we had in December, 83 and change, the highs we had late December, early in January, the highs you had in January, later that month, and then you got to $80 a couple times. But you break above 80, $90 is easily in play. 85 even? very tough to imagine a price where we go down to cheap oil. I mean, imagine, folks. It's election season. The Saudis don't want to make life easy for Biden, no matter what you think about politics, man. I do not see them letting oil slip back into 70 or even 60s, not even close. And we got a long way to election. That's a year and a half out. One more segment, folks. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
TFNN has just launched their new trading room, the Tiger's Den. Hosted at Discord, TFNN has been educating traders for more than 20 years with live programming hosted by a variety of professional traders during market hours. And now they are expanding their reach with the Tiger's Den, available to all tigers and tigresses for just $1 for the year. There's no catch or added costs when you join our community of traders. In the Tiger's Den, you can look over the shoulders of Tom O'Brien and the other TFNN hosts while they analyze charts during their live Tiger TV programs, and join an interactive trading community with hundreds of members exchanging ideas. Interact with other tigers and tigresses as they share trading ideas, news analysis, and discuss the market action all trading day, even at night and on the weekends. The Tiger's Den at Discord is accessible on mobile or tablets as well, so it's always at your reach. To sign up today and become a part of this educational community of traders, just visit the front page of TFNN.com.
You might think that if you want to be successful at trading in the stock market, you're going to need a crystal ball. After all, it's impossible to predict the future, right? Like any endeavor in life, before you decide it's impossible, get some advice from the experts. You might find that it's not so impossible after all. For daily market overviews that give you direction on the key indices, selective stocks, and commodities, subscribe to the Opening Call newsletter at TFNN.com. The Opening Call newsletter is written by Basil Chapman, creator of the trading methodology known as the Chapman Wave. The Chapman Wave up-down sequence gives you an edge in identifying price turns, finding the peaks and valleys in stock prices. Get the Opening Call newsletter by Basil Chapman in your inbox every day. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know, and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. TFNN.com, educating investors.
Everything in the universe is governed by the Fibonacci sequence. This mathematical principle is responsible for everything from the most aesthetically pleasing artwork to patterns in the stock market. To stay on top of stock patterns you can take advantage of, sign up for the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter at TFNN.com. When you subscribe, you'll get a weekly report from veteran day trader Larry Pesavento on stocks you need to pay attention to. And you can trust Larry's analysis. After all, he's got 45 years experience as a day trader. Larry will also provide daily charts, videos, and data on the key markets that he's tracking. Expect notifications from Larry on market movement you need to act on at any time. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. Subscribe to the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter today. TFNN.com, educating investors.
This segment is brought to you by Thinkorswim. For more information, just click the Thinkorswim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Welcome back, folks. We got the S&Ps up by 1 right now. I got First Republic up here. First Republic down another 2.4%. So interesting. I was reading this over at Bloomberg over the weekend. The bank attracted wealthy clients with loans that have become a costly hurdle to finding a rescuer. So wealthy home buyers and property investors with high incomes and sterling credit scores could get a mortgage from First Republic with a rock bottom rate for several years. Better yet, they didn't have to start repaying the principal for a decade. Yeah. You talk about it, man. Interest-only loans to wealthy home buyers and property investors, one of the key challenges to finding investors or a strong lender to take over. They're expected to report $40 billion drop in deposits when they report their numbers next week. I think it's a week from today, next Monday. They'll be out with their numbers. Interesting nonetheless. And we jump back to a little bit of marathon. So I was looking up the paces, right? And yeah, if you don't know running, folks, boy, I mean, you're running like a 6 or 7 minute mile. You're world class. That's it, period. This guy, Kipchoge, And I say that with the utmost respect, man. My goodness. 4:34. 4 minutes and 34 seconds, 0.5 is what he was running the mile for 26 miles. To put that in perspective, he was running a 5K in 14 minutes and 13 seconds, 8 times in a row. And the 10K, okay, now we know 10Ks, right? They got a 10K. I believe the Boston, the Falmouth Road Race is a 10K. The 10K, might even be a little bit more than that. The record for a 10K is 26 minutes and 17 seconds. Well, his pace was 28 minutes and 26 seconds, and he had to run that more than 4 times consecutively. Just an amazing run, and I can't wait to see how he does today, to tell you the truth. And, I'm just a fan of a good competition, man. And when you see somebody like that that's just ahead of their field, 4 minutes and 34 seconds running 26 straight miles. The last part of that, I closed it out, didn't it? He ran a 17-second, we'll finish the show like this, a 17-second 100-meter, right? The fastest, 177 times in a row, something like that. Happy Patriots Day. Happy Monday, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned. Live programming all day. We got Basil Chapman coming up next with the Tiger Technicians Hour. Have a great Monday, everybody.